What's going on, everybody at GZTV with another video, and in this video we are going to be talking about The Walking Dead. I have just started season 4. This is the first episode. We're going to be discussing it here. Hopefully my computer doesn't glitch out, but we haven't had too many problems, so that is good. We have this week in the NFL video, and then Madden. I'm going to be punching these out early morning here so I can kind of enjoy some basketball. I'm probably going to watch Phantasm today as well, so yeah. So getting into the plot, several months have passed in which the remaining citizens of Woodbury have joined their survivor group at the prison. Now we're not even sure where the governor is. I don't know if we'll ever find out. Maybe his storyline just ends with this series, which would be kind of disappointing, but for now, in this episode anyways, he doesn't seem present, so the people in the prison months later seem at ease and kind of at peace for the first time in a while. Rick Grimes, having renounced leadership of the group, has taken to farming to set an example to his son, Carl Grimes. Through survival and stuff, this is a good opportunity, a proud father moment for Rick to kind of teach his son survival tactics, how to farm, how to defend yourself, how to make wise decisions, how to be moral, all these type of things. So, yeah, the apocalypse has created a big opportunity for those two to bond over these type of things and bond through struggle. Yeah. While he is walking outside in his garden, he notices several walkers have accumulated outside the prison, so I guess overnight, either someone made a noise or maybe they're attracted to something. There's obviously a lot of people, so they probably have had walker problems, but this is months in the future we're talking about here in the storyline. Carl approaches him and notices that one of the pigs his father takes care of, Violet, appears ill. Now, if an animal is ill, these are for feeding purposes. They're only holding these animals so they can kill them once they're mature, try to get as much meat out of the animal as possible. So, obviously, if an animal is sick, they probably have viruses in their blood. They have viruses in their, organs. So if you eat that, you could probably contract the virus, and that's kind of what they're worried about. I mean, I guess if you cook it, it cooks most of the disease off, but just to be sure, it's probably not a good thing. Rick tells Carl to stop naming the pigs since they are food, and admits he does not know why the pig is ill. And it's kind of funny. And it's kind of funny because you don't really pick up on it at first, but later on in the episode, Rick tells a group of kids something about the walkers, and it's kind of like a similar sentiment to what his father just told him now. So it's really interesting. You got to kind of notice how much of an inspiration, how much of an influence his father is on Carl. So Daryl Dixon has increased in popularity among the residents for his role as the group's hunter. Carl's friend Patrick, introduced here, he's played by Vincent Martella. I think Vincent Martella is actually, I want to say he was in Hereditary. Maybe not. Am I wrong there? Let me see. He's not in Hereditary. Wow. I swear he was. Okay. He thanks Daryl for supplying the meat through his hunting. He's like, I'd like to shake your hand, kind of bowing down to him almost, which is really interesting of a role that Daryl's playing. Carol speaks privately with Daryl about the walkers, noting they are not spreading themselves along the fence line as before. They're kind of lining up and trying to plunge through the fence, which is kind of an interesting thing. I guess it's a weird pattern Carol noticed. Elsewhere, Glenn Reed tells his wife Maggie, so now they're married, that she should not accompany him on the supply run scheduled for later that day. Maybe she's worried. Maggie has a very optimistic outlook on things. She's like, look, everything's going to be alright if I go with you. Type of thing. Carl criticizes a group of the prison's children, Lizzie, new character played by Brighton Charbino, and her sister Micah, played by Kyla Kennedy, among them, for naming one of the walkers at the fence. So again, this is kind of him and being influenced by his father not to name humane things, I guess. It's weird. While several survivors kill the accumulated walkers at the fence, Tyree speaks with Karen and confides his discomfort with killing walkers along the gate, as it means looking into their faces. He doesn't want to have to be reminded of the constant struggle that they're put through with this apocalypse, He wants it to be over. He doesn't want to think about it, but there's a harsh reality that comes with that, so, yeah. Herschel Green tells Rick that their counsel, himself, Glenn, Daryl, Carol, and Tyrese's sister Sasha, prefers that Rick carry a gun when he goes outside the gates for protection, like they're worried he's their leader. They don't want to lose him, so they're kind of getting worried. They're like, look, you got to be armed when you go out in the wild. And good thing they told him that because he has a weird interaction in this episode. Rick leaves and he encounters Michonne returning to the prison after unsuccessfully hunting for the governor. That's kind of the mission that they've been trying to do for months now. And she shares her intention to travel to Macon County to continue her search. She's like, look, I'm going to keep looking for this guy. I'm not giving up yet. I'm going to hunt this man down. She volunteers to check the hunting traps for animals, but Rick decides to go himself, kind of takes some authority. Carol, meanwhile, secretly uses a storytime session with the prison's children to teach them about the use of weaponry. Obviously, it's not something that Rick wants to teach these young of kids, but Patrick, feeling ill, leaves early, and this is going to lead into something, trust me. I mean, this is a good episode. I like the way they opened this season. Open it on like a really interesting note here with all these characters that we're introduced to. And it's not even, and the crazy part is, this whole time we think that Patrick leaves because he doesn't want to use knives and he doesn't want to talk about violence, but he was actually ill, and it's going to lead to something. Before leaving on the supply run, Zach, new character played by Kyle Gallner, says goodbye to Herschel's younger daughter, Beth, with whom he has formed a relationship. So there's interesting developments of the characters over the months that we missed out on. So now this is just kind of a catch-up episode. They don't want to do an episode every single day of this storyline, because that would be boring. Bob Stuckey, new character played by Lawrence Gilliard Jr., a former Army medic and a new addition to the group, volunteers to go along to earn his keep. After some hesitation, Sasha allows him to come, I guess strength in numbers, so obviously he is along for the ride. The group reaches an abandoned army camp around a grocery store where they begin to gather supplies. So obviously they're going on runs. They need to for their survival. They've learned that over time. Bob approaches an alcohol aisle in the store and is tempted to take a bottle of wine, which is interesting because no one else is tempted but Bob is. I don't know, it's weird. There's whole racks of alcohol and no one wants to drink it. I guess they gotta stay focused. He decides to put it back, causing the entire shelf to fall on him. So he is just clumsy, he causes a mistake, and now he's stuck under shelving. This also attracts the attention of walkers on the roof, who begin to fall through the decaying ceiling. So obviously Bob kind of causes some trouble, the guy that's like new to the group and wanted to help, right? Daryl and Zach are able to free Bob, but Zach is bitten and killed in the process. So literally the first episode we are introduced to Zach, he dies off, which is very interesting. The rest of the group escapes as a wrecked helicopter falls through the roof, destroying the store and the remaining walkers. So obviously we lose a survivor out of the group that actually had a name, right? Rick is checking the traps when he encounters a woman named Clara, a new character in this episode, played by Carrie Condon, whom he initially mistakes for a walker because she looks all raggedy, she looks poor and dirty and stuff. She asked if he is with a group and begs him to take her and her husband Eddie in. Now, when we find out who Eddie is, it's really interesting. She leads Rick to her small campsite where she suddenly moves to attack him, so she turns on Rick. Now again, when the group was worried about him, they had a bad feeling about things, and they were right. He sidesteps her, and she instead chooses to commit suicide, stabbing herself in the stomach to kind of end her misery she is suffering, which is really sad, but Rick was probably going to kill her himself. But no, she takes her own life. I think Rick was going to give her a chance, I'm not sure though. Clara tells Rick she cannot stand living without Eddie, who it is revealed has died and became a walker, and so she took his head with her. So she decapitated him and kept him with her, which is just kind of makes her a psychopath, but at the same time, I guess it's understandable. She pleads with Rick not to kill her, so she may remain with Eddie as a walker. If he puts her out of her misery and shoots her in the head, then she won't be able to be a walker, and she wants to be with Eddie. So yeah. Rick honors her dying wish and departs, and upon returning to the prison, he discovers that Violet, the pig, has died of her illness, so they're probably not going to be using that as food, I guess. Rick is witnessing a bunch of death around him, so Yeah, the supply run group returns to the prison. Now, obviously, there's bad news. Maggie tells Glenn that she is not pregnant, as they had feared, and he didn't want her going if she was pregnant. So that was the main fear. Daryl informs Beth of Zach's death. She then resets the tally she was keeping of days without accidents, which is why the episode is called 30 Days Without an Accident. They've gone a whole month without trouble, or I'm assuming a death. Seeing that Daryl was surprised by her apparent coldness, she tells him that she does not cry anymore, but is glad to have spent time with Zach. It's kind of a sick thing to, kind of a sick mindset to have, I guess. I don't know. It's interesting. Later that night, Patrick rises and stumbles in the showers, where he collapses, dies, and soon reanimates. So Patrick and Zach, two brand new characters, have died. At least we have, what new characters? We have Bob. We have Lizzie, and we have Micah. Those are like the big characters, and those are like the kids. 30 Days Without an Accident was met with positive reception. People liked it. It was an 8.3 out of 10 on IGN. New showrunner Scott Gimple, who penned the episode, and co-executive producer Greg Nicotero, who directed it, were determined to come in with a bang and surprise, as promised. And that is exactly what we got. It got a B+ on the AV Club. That's going to do it. I can't wait to continue watching this. I think that this has a great potential with the new members of the group. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Jeezy TV, reviewing your favorite TV shows. Actually, tomorrow we are going to be reviewing the Phantasm movie. I'm going to be watching that today. I don't think I'm going to watch 1 and 2. I'm going to take a break from the franchise, kind of like I did for Final Destination, and kind of open my eyes to other franchises, if you know what I mean. But yeah, Phantasm. We also have This Week in the NFL and a Madden video today, Road to Glory. The series returns. Have a good rest of your day.